Can anybody stop the New Orleans Saints? Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. So we talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm Russ Jeffrey. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content and hit that notification bell so you never miss our video. Week 3 of the NFL season is upon us, and there are some teams that are really separating themselves at the top of the NFL standings, kind of like the Kansas City Chiefs, which that was to be expected. But the New Orleans Saints, they're playing out of this world right now, and I don't think anybody was expecting them to look this good. But then you got teams like the New York Giants and the Carolina Panthers that are really looking rough, which we pretty much expected the Panthers to be bad again, but maybe not this bad. The Giants, they're definitely disappointing more than usual, but I'm going to go over every single Week 3 NFL game and get my predictions for every single one, so let's get into it. On Thursday Night Football, we got the New England Patriots and the New York Jets. This is a decent game, not a game that a lot of people are going to circle as a must-see game of the week, but still a solid game. Patriots are 1-1. The Jets are 1-1 on the season. And Drake May, he's not the quarterback for the Patriots. It's been Jacoby Brissett. He's done all right, but he could not lead the Patriots to a victory last week. And then the Jets, they finally got a win last week. Aaron Rodgers' first victory as the starting quarterback for the Jets. That's big for him. I think with it being at home for the Jets, even though they don't look great on offense, but Aaron Rodgers, he still can be a game manager at this stage of his career as the oldest quarterback in the NFL. I think they look a little bit better as a team overall than the Patriots, and they have the home field advantage. I'm going to go with the Jets to knock off the Patriots 21-17 on Thursday Night Football. And then we have, starting with the Sunday matchups, the New York Giants and the Cleveland Browns. The Giants don't look that good. Obviously, I think they're the second worst team in the NFL right now, with the Carolina Panthers being by far the worst team. So at least the Giants can say they're not the worst. But they're going on the road to play the Browns, who have looked decent so far this season. They played bad against the Dallas Cowboys in Week 1, but they were able to bounce back and get a victory last week. I think that the Cleveland Browns, even though Deshaun Watson still has a lot of controversy going on, he's playing well enough, and the team has enough talent overall and their home field advantage that I'm going to go with the Browns to knock off the winless Giants 21-10. Then we got the Green Bay Packers and the Tennessee Titans. Green Bay is an enigma right now because Jordan Love, he is out for a significant portion of this season, but Green Bay was still able to win last week, and I was kind of shocked that they were. I thought Green Bay was going to end up falling off a cliff without Jordan Love, but they still have a lot of talent on the team overall. And the Tennessee Titans, they're not a great team either. They're not as bad as the Giants or the Panthers, but Will Levis, even though he has actually had a few nice plays this season, he just doesn't have enough talent around him still. No more Derrick Henry in the backfield, a massive loss for the Tennessee Titans. I actually am going to go with the Green Bay Packers, who have looked a little bit better than Tennessee this season, to get a 17-14 win. Then we got the Chicago Bears and the Indianapolis Colts. The Bears, with Caleb Williams, have actually looked good to start this season. Even though they did lose to the C.J. Stroud-led Texans last week, they were very competitive in that game. And the Indianapolis Colts, they're 0-2 on the season. They haven't been awful. They have been competitive, but Anthony Richardson has to get out of his own way. He's starting to turn the ball over way too much, and if he can't curb that under control, then the Colts will end up having a bad season. I think that the Bears are going to go on the road and knock off the Colts 24-17. Then we got a headline matchup at 1 o'clock on CBS with the Houston Texans traveling to the Minnesota Vikings. Both of these teams are undefeated on the season. C.J. Stroud's looked great at the Texans, and Sam Darnold has been a great surprise to the Minnesota Vikings, proving that quarterbacks that leave the Carolina Panthers end up doing a whole lot better. And when you look at Sam Darnold's pass to Justin Jefferson, that 97-yard completion last week, that shows you that his confidence is going through the roof. But C.J. Stroud, he is a really good quarterback, even though he's only going into his second NFL season. He's got a lot of talent around him. Nico Collins is a fantastic receiver. I believe that the Houston Texans will have a great shot to win this game, but Minnesota is a tough environment, and they look very confident right now that I'm actually going to go with the Vikings to knock off the Texans 24-21. I would not have said that at the beginning of the season, but Sam Darnold has been very impressive. I believe the Vikings get the win. Then we have another great game on Fox at 1 o'clock with the Philadelphia Eagles and the New Orleans Saints, who have been insanely good this season. Alvin Kamara is a man on a mission. I would have never expected Alvin Kamara to be playing this well at this stage of his career after what happened to him last year where he was suspended. I maybe thought he might have started trailing down a little bit, but he is back and he is on the attack. And Derek Carr has been really good this season, showing that when he has a good team around him, he can be a successful quarterback. Whereas Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts, they blew the game last week against the Atlanta Falcons on Monday Night Football. That was a really tough loss. Saquon Barkley dropped a pass that would have been a touchdown for the Eagles, or at least a first down at the very least. Saquon Barkley has had a lot of drops, but he's still a talented running back. I think the Eagles will have a good chance to win this game, but I'm just too high on the Saints right now after what they did to the Carolina Panthers and the Dallas Cowboys, which was much more impressive beating the Cowboys on the road the way that they did. I'm going to go with the Saints to beat the Eagles 28-21. And we got the Los Angeles Chargers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, two teams that are still undefeated. And the Steelers is really shocking. No one would have expected them to be 2-0 on the season after their quarterback controversy during the offseason with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Justin Fields has been doing just enough to get the wins, however, and they did beat the Broncos last week, and the Broncos are not a good team. The Chargers destroyed the Panthers last week, but that's to be expected. The Panthers are awful. Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert, it seems like a really good pairing so far. I think the Chargers are a better offensive team than the Steelers, and even though Pittsburgh's a tough place to play, I'm going to go with LA to knock off the Steelers 24-17. And then in our final 1 o'clock game on Sunday, we got the Denver Broncos and the Tampa Bay Bucks. Baker Mayfield looking really good for Tampa Bay, another ex-Carolina quarterback that's having a lot more success when he goes to another team. Denver, though, they're not looking good. They're not as bad as the Panthers, but they're another team that is looking like they're going to have a long season. Bo Nix still having a lot of growing pains in his rookie year. I think that the Denver Broncos will keep it close early, but Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay offense will get things rolling by the end of the game, and they're going to end up winning 24-10 over the Denver Broncos. Then we have at 4:05 on CBS, the anemic Carolina Panthers and the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders impressed last week, knocking off the Baltimore Ravens on the road. And Gardner Minshew, he's playing really good at the Las Vegas Raiders right now, a lot better than he has at his previous stops. The Panthers are garbage. Bryce Young just got benched. Some people wondering if they'll ever start another NFL game. I actually asked this question on Twitter, whether people think that Bryce Young will ever start another NFL game. And 57% of people said yes, 38% of people said no, and 5% of people said not sure. We don't even know if that's going to be at the Panthers. Maybe Bryce Young gets another chance at another NFL team, but as is, the Panthers are a terrible offense, and now Dave Cannell is trying to already save his job because he knows what happened to Frank Reich after 11 games. He got fired. Dave Cannell is going with Andy Dalton at starting quarterback. Even though Andy Dalton has a lot more experience and he is a better quarterback than Bryce Young right now, I still think the Panthers are just too bad of a team overall that it's not going to matter, and the Las Vegas Raiders are going to beat the Panthers 24-13. Then we have a great matchup at 4:05 on CBS between the Miami Dolphins and the Seattle Seahawks. Miami is 1-1 on the season, and the Seahawks are still undefeated at 2-0. Geno Smith's been playing very well for the Seahawks to start this season. Tua Tagovailoa, he's hurt. That's bad. He's got another concussion. That's been a problem for him throughout his entire career. He has to be able to avoid those concussions, or eventually he will have to retire from the NFL. But he's still good for now. He's still going to keep trucking along, but that is not a good sight to see for Dolphins fans. Skylar Thompson's going to be the starting quarterback for Miami. He's not a bad player, but Miami's offense does significantly get worse when he's in versus Tua. I think that the Seahawks, with Geno Smith and that high-flying offense, will be able to beat Miami 24-13. Then we got the Baltimore Ravens and the Dallas Cowboys on Fox. This is a big game because the Dallas Cowboys, they've already got people starting to doubt them. After their great Week 1 performance against the Browns, they choked last week against the Saints at home. And now we got the Ravens, who are 0-2 on the season. They really need a win because if you start the season 0-3, it's really hard to turn around from that. Losing to the Chiefs in Week 1, no one was really surprised at that, and they were very close to beating them. But then losing to the Raiders in Week 2, the Ravens got to get things right. And I think that Lamar Jackson, he's going to definitely be determined to do that because the Ravens are just too good of a team to already almost be possibly out of the playoff picture this early in the season. I don't really trust Dallas either because one week they look really bad and then the next week they can look like the best team in the NFL. So I really just don't know what to make of them. They could go out there and blow the Ravens out for all I know, but I'm actually going to go with the Baltimore Ravens to knock off the Dallas Cowboys 24-21. I just think the Ravens need this game a whole lot more, and Lamar Jackson is going to find a way to get the win. And then we have the San Francisco 49ers at the Los Angeles Rams. The 49ers, they dropped their game last week in a surprising loss. And then the Rams, they're 0-2 on the season. They look really good against the Lions in their week 1 loss, but they were horrible last week. I don't know what's going on with the Rams. They just need to figure out how to get their offense going, and their defense has to be better. I think that the 49ers are still too talented of a team that they're going to end up bouncing back from their loss last week and get a 27-14 win over the Los Angeles Rams on the road. And then in our final 4 o'clock game on Sunday, we got the Detroit Lions traveling to the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona had an offensive explosion last week, scoring over 40 points, and Kyler Murray probably had one of his best games of his NFL career. A lot of people were doubting Kyler Murray, saying that his career is probably going to be almost over. He hasn't really been able to do anything. He hasn't been able to stay healthy, but he looked great last week, blowing out the Rams. Then the Detroit Lions, they lost last week. That was a tough loss for Detroit, but Jared Goff still has a lot of talent on that offense. I think that even though Detroit slipped up last week, and although Arizona was very impressive last week, I'm going to back the Lions to knock off the Cardinals 21-20 in a very closely contested game. Then on Sunday Night Football, we got the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to the Atlanta Falcons. This game has more intrigue now after what the Falcons did last week, knocking off the Philadelphia Eagles in primetime on Monday Night Football. Gives me a bit more confidence in Kirk Cousins to be able to win a primetime game. And he's been able to squeak out a lot of close wins. He did it a lot at the Minnesota Vikings. Kansas City, though, still the defending champs. Travis Kelce seems to be getting it together a little bit. Patrick Mahomes still playing sharp. The defense looks pretty solid overall. I think that even though the Falcons look like an improved team, I think that Kansas City will be able to go on the road and knock off the Atlanta Falcons 27-21 on Sunday Night Football. I just trust Patrick Mahomes to be able to lead the Chiefs in primetime to a key victory and move to 3-0 on the season. Then we got a doubleheader on Monday Night Football. We had a few of these last year, but they're doing it again. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Buffalo Bills at 7:30 on ESPN in the first game. Jaguars are 0-2 on the season, just like with the Ravens. Very surprising, and they need to get it together and get a big win. But the Bills, they're looking great. An underratedly good-looking team to start this season at 2-0 on the year. Josh Allen playing very well. He's just got to stay healthy, though. Can't take those big hits. But when he does not turn the football over, he is a really talented quarterback. Trevor Lawrence, he's got to do better. I think that the Jaguars played decent enough last week, but their offense was not good enough against the Cleveland Browns. They got to get that offense figured out. But I don't think it's going to be in this game, though. At Buffalo, Josh Allen playing too well. I think that the Bills knock off the Jaguars 24-14 on Monday Night Football. And then in our final game of week 3 of the NFL season, we got the Washington Commanders, who looked really good last week in their win. Jaden Daniels getting his first win of his NFL career, traveling to the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 0-2 on the season. Another team that is surprising after starting the year 0-2. Joe Burrow did not play bad last week at all against the Kansas City Chiefs. They should have won that game, but they ended up blowing it in the end, allowing the Chiefs to get that win. But the Bengals, they desperately need a win. But the Commanders are no slouch. They are looking a whole lot better, and I think that they're going to keep improving as the season goes along. But I think the Bengals need this game more. Joe Burrow is going to end up finding a way to get it together. That defense is going to play a little bit better, and I feel like the Bengals, in a desperate must-win game, will be able to knock off the Washington Commanders 21-20 on Monday Night Football. But if the Bengals do not win this game, then their season is already in massive jeopardy of possibly not being able to make the NFL playoffs. There's still a lot of the NFL season left. Just because you start out 0-3 does not mean that you can't turn your season around and still make the NFL playoffs, but it's very hard to do so. So teams like the Ravens and the Bengals, they got to turn it around fast, or it's not going to be good for them at all. But week 3 of the NFL season has a lot of interesting matchups, like the Texans and the Vikings, the Eagles and the Saints, the Ravens and the Cowboys. A lot of great matchups. I'm looking forward to these games, and we're really going to start being able to tell for sure which teams are good and which teams are bad in the NFL. We kind of have a picture of it already, but with more results and more games, you definitely can start to see some separation. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Which teams are going to win these week 3 NFL games? Which matchups you're looking forward to the most? And what games you agree or disagree with me on my picks for every single week 3 NFL game? Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Like this video down below. Follow me on Twitter as well. Link is in the description, and I'll see you next time.